What is up, you guys? Welcome to another after work yappings, again special stream edition. We were not finished with catching you guys up with the Stranger Things. Tonight we have the lovely Theo on the back end, so she's voicing her takes as well. But like the previous two seasons, well, we basically are going speed run through all this. Well, not really a speed run. A nice debunking and retelling of every single season. And we did include the prologue, as I call it, because the Broadway play is the first shadow. We did extensively talked about it, where Henry Creel, where it all began in 1943, the battleship that disappeared, father of Dr. Brennan, his fascination for the Dimension X and the superpowers, well, later come to be superpowers. The Mind Flayer, we call it MF. A lot of background info on Henry Quill. Then we went on in season 1, where the story actually starts. Introduction of all the worlds, because I divided 7 worlds, so for your information, because you were not here. We have 7 different dimensions. We have the right side up, which is the actual world. We have the upside down, which is the snapshot, which happens when 11 touched the Demogorgon in the void, where all the worlds collide, so, and that's the snapshot of the 6th of November 1983. We have the void. This is the location or dimension where you see both Henry Creel as 11. When they close their eyes, everything's black around them. There's like this water they walk over. They can use telekinesis to connect with other people. They call this the void. Then we have Dimension X. This is the world where it's all yellow clouds, floating stones, Demogorgons, the initial encounter with the Mind Flayer, well, actually the second encounter with Mind Flayer, so that's Dimension X. Then we have the Hellscape, so you have the left and the right screen, all in clouds, and then this is where Henry falls through, so basically anyone that enters from the right side up to the dimension, well, if he wanna get to Dimension X, you go through this hellscape, but the hellscape in theory is actually endless, and if you stay within this hellscape, you basically die by these lightning. So that's also where you see Henry loses his skin. And then we have the redscape. Basically, this is Henry's hideout. He created where you see parts of the building, the Creel house parts, and where he keeps the kids, as you, well, not only in season 5, but you'll see this in, I think, season 4 as well, where he keeps Marks and the other kids. So that's, everything is red, and then it's basically also like things floating and a bunch of remnants of whatever physical object you might recognize from the upside down or the right side up. And then the final world, I call it Henry's Memory Lane. This is where Maxime is kept and Holly eventually, and I think the other kids as well. So there is multiple worlds, but we have to get this out of the way because otherwise you will not understand what the hell we're talking about. You'll get confused real quick. But this series does make a nice effort to slowly introduce us to a bigger dimension, a bigger world, more characters. If you notice, every single season they introduce a new dimension and a few new characters and some new theories. And this is something that we now can build on. It's funny how the season 1 starts with the kids playing D&D on a board. And then when you fast forward to season 5, they're actually playing D&D real life. And we're gonna talk about the season 5 obviously later. But in summary, basically they put the map of Hawkins there with a lot of background research. So Mike had a lot of time to do research because it's his map. So he didn't make all the notes and details of the town. Obviously he knows the town. And then he basically went back in time. That's what I think he did, to track down where each incident did happen. So they kind of know like these are the milestones, markers within the town whenever which happens, because maybe they will have a significant meaning. So the big brain of everyone, everything is Dustin. Maybe he can crack the code, because every single time if we're stuck to something, he comes with this theory. This is why, and we'll do a dedicated episode on the characters, but Dustin is basically the strategist, or they call it the barb or something in D&D. So he basically kind of is the person that strategizes and come with the theories about, he gives the significancy a meaning. He's not the only one who discovers things, you know, like Robin and Nancy do this as well, but they are more physically discovering things and then come up like, hey, damn, I fell through this, you know, split in the world and I came through there. So they're discovering things by physical accidents, like, you know, in season 4 in the water. But Dustin is more like the mastermind, he's a strategist. Oh yeah, so they basically introduce new worlds, new characters. The original set of 5 is introduced at season 1. So we have Will, the sorcerer, Mike, the paladin, Lucas, the knight, so the brunt. But also the most pragmatic one, the most logical one. Then you have Dustin, he's the barb. Then actually you have then the grown-ups. Joyce, Harper is the most noticeable one. All the parents are not that important. They are there, but who cares? And then we have the older kids, generation. Then you have Nancy, Steve, and then, well, who's a douchebag, supposed to die in season 1, but didn't die because they did such a good job. And I like that the directors are going with the energy and the charisma of the show as it builds up, and don't just go off, you know, the script verbatim, like, hey, he's gonna die episode 5, and I just kill him off, even though he might do a good job. So that's a good thing. They kept Steve and they kept 11 because apparently she's supposed to die. Did you see that? Jonathan and Nancy, who are the older kids. Fast forward, well, we're gonna start with the last scene of season 1, where Hopper and Joyce free the kidnapped Will in the Upside Down in the library. Well, actually, because we know this now, Vecna was watching this all along from the background. So he wanted this to happen, obviously, because he needs a carrier for the larvae or whatever it is. And kind of like a spy, because in season 2, this theme that Will is a spy comes more prominent. So he needs someone, so basically a plan from the upside down to the right side up, because somehow he can't even go to the world yet, or he doesn't wanna. Maybe he's not strong enough, or because in theory, if you look at the prequel, the first Shadow, the more he kills, the stronger he gets, because he drains the life energy and the life force. Like Dr. Brennan says, he takes everything from the victims. So maybe he's not strong enough, because people argue that in season 1, he actually was the one who created a tear in the barn of Will, so he could escape through there to the Upside Down. And it was not the Demogorgon who caught him, because obviously if the Demogorgon had his hands on Will, he will not fuck around and just basically report back to base like, here, Master is the prey. But he did not do so. And also, Vecna did say, finally we can start. So he's been waiting for him to be found. They go in this library, there is this hatched egg, we don't know what it is, but I think, and everyone thinks, season 5, he's gonna be the big bad, so the dragon with three heads, because that's the final boss in D&D. I think it's gonna be like kind of the embodiment of MF. We already know it's kind of a spider, so maybe he changes form, I don't know. So they escape him, he carries his larvae home, we see this at the end of season 1, he coughs it up, right? That's, in theory, the larvae is just a nice souvenir, but the damage was done, right? He's already infected by the particles, as we talked about, the magnetic particles, by MF, so not Vecna. People are like, oh, Vecna pumped some of his essence in Will, for the lack of a better term. But I actually think it's actually the MF who transferred his essence into Will's essence. So this is how they get infused. So the DNA or the blood of Will is infused and he's changed forever. So the scene where we're gonna talk about in a moment is kind of his realization that it happened, and not that it actually happened, because it didn't make sense that could happen. So they rescue him. He's not the same anymore, like the father of Martin Brennan, Dr. Brennan, like little Henry Quill when he was found in a cave. Now also Will is changed forever. Ever since then, he basically has an open tap to the Upside Down world, to Vecna, to MF. My theory, and this, so now everything in these episodes, I will preface my theories by saying my theories. Everything else is basically what's the common consensus of the internet. My theory is kind of, this is the competition of Vecna. There's just like 2 pawns, and the MF is just seeing like, hey, who's gonna become stronger than the other, because he can use both. And you'll see why he uses both, and actually it doesn't have to do with Vecna at all. And that was my only explanation also why he's waiting for so long. Because he's been waiting since season 1, obviously. Why does he wait all this time and not just, boof, you know, balls deep, Kool-Aid man, oh yeah, kick in the door and take over Hawkins? Why does he need 5 seasons? So we'll see that, and they will explain it, I think, in season 5, why he needs kind of a army of 12, or the 12 kids. Okay, so he comes back, changed forever. Probably his blood is also changed. He, I think, in theory, should already have those powers he exhibited in season 5, episode 4, but it was just latent because he was not himself, per Robin's motivational speech, the Yoda talk. Season 2 starts with our most cringe scenes ever, when the kids are making out, very much PG-13. I didn't want to watch this thing. I kind of skipped the whole thing. I literally felt the disgust as a parent, what Hopper felt, you know, like he's like 3 inches or something. The door 3 inches. I'm like, oh my god, what I get it, you know, like the girl never seen a guy before, and he's the first guy to save her life and care for her. So they're like, blah, 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 blah. And that was kind of cringe. We learned that 11 is still alive. Hopper's been keeping her alive, and she found her way back from the upside down to the right side up. He becomes this surrogate father, and she's like this adopted daughter, and this is where their relationship starts, and Hopper gets another chance to be a good father, right? Because we also have learned in season 1 that his daughter died on an early age. Funny things in season 2, so we get a few new characters. Billy, who's gonna be more important in season 3, but we get introduced like very volatile guy, the crush of every teenage girl. We get introduced with the Mayfield siblings. Steve has a whole rite to passage transformation, because that happens in season 2 actually, because obviously, this is my take, and you can agree or don't agree. Nancy is just basically the epitome of hypergamy to the max. She falls for the person that saves her life the most recent time. First, well, that is just physical teenage attraction. She's into Steve because he's like the renowned fuckboy, and Jonathan's non-existent. Well, although she has patience for him, then he helps and doesn't think she's crazy her to find that her friend is kind of dead, and also saved her life kind of multiple times. Then at the end of season 1, Steve, if you remember, saved her life kind of again, because he used a spiked baseball bat to kick the Demogorgon's ass, so saves her life there. Then somehow they get this whole testosterone fight between each other. Steve gets beat the shit out by Jonathan eventually, one scene, like got his whole face fucked up. And that's a nice reflection moment, because season 2 has a lot of WTFs. Because the season starts with Nancy back together with Steve, obviously, because who's gonna date the fucking nerd? You know, like that made sense. But then as Jonathan was fucking Steve's face up, pause, she chooses eventually to stay with Jonathan. Which kind of is a surprise, because usually if some guy beats up your, well, quote unquote, situationship, because they already kind of had difficulties, because apparently Steve doesn't care for Barb's disappearance. Yeah, he doesn't care, and he doesn't believe. So usually you don't end up dumping your current boyfriend because you just beat the shit out of it. But then it makes sense, because in hypergamy rules, if you see your significant other, male other, get beat the shit out of him by the other person, if it's another male, usually affection goes to that. That's just biology. So that is very realistic reflection of biology, and I like how they use multiple times in the series, different seasons, some reflections that made sense. Because then she basically kind of starts to like Jonathan again, because they become like on a whole adventure. Because what was the thing they bonded over in season 2?
So in season 2 of Stranger Things, it's really about the shift in Nancy's feelings as she starts to see Jonathan in a different light. She and Jonathan spend a lot of time together unraveling the mystery around the Hawkins Lab and the whole conspiracy, and that really brings them closer. Plus, Nancy is feeling pretty disconnected from Steve and the whole normal high school scene. Eventually, she just realizes Jonathan understands her in a way Steve doesn't, and that's how she ends up going for Jonathan.
So we are introduced by new characters, but also we get to introduce a new world. In a sense of the tunnels where they're gonna use it for the crawl is made in season 2. MF, so not Vecna, because unlike some people think it's Vecna, because well, this is where we learn about the Mind Flayer, and not even Vecna, so Mind Flayer was already introduced in season 2, you guys. But I think it's kind of psychic manifestation of how the Mind Flayer would be in the Upside Down. I don't think he's really in the Upside Down, to be honest. I do still think he's in the middle. Well, now I'm tying a little bit some things together, but I think he's still in Dimension X, and he needs the 12 kids, life force or whatever, to break into the Upside Down to then get to the right side up. Will starts to get visions or whatever from the Upside Down without being in the Upside Down, so he's already seeing through someone's eyes.
Yeah.
Right? He feels like he's there and everything is upside down. You see the red thunder already, and he starts to see the shape originally. The first time we get to see as a viewer how the MF looks like. I think that's more like a psychic manifestation of how he looked like. I don't think he's actually there. That's why I say the moment when that was also a WTF moment when Bob told Will to say no to your fear. He actually got fucked over. The funny thing is, we already concluded that in season 1 he was already infected. So this moment when he basically got taken over, kind of like possessed, like he got possessed, that was just him. I think his body telling his mind like, hey, we're screwed. You know, like, hey, damn, whoa, holy shit, what the hell? We're fucked. We're like, we're not us anymore. We're not alone. Me is a we. Like, who's we? But we is Will and MF. Chronologically speaking, as a viewer, we get to learn that 11 is not alone. Makes sense, because number 11 is really that random. In our 2-3 streams ago, you were asking me, who do you think is the big bad? I deducted it would be number 1 or something. You're like, how did you know? Did you watch it? Like, no, it makes sense, because who's like having a 0-1-1? There's always way more before or after. So, but we at that point still don't know there was a massacre. So I, in my mind, think everyone, well, during season 2, we should think everyone else might be alive, right? Logically speaking, because we have no evidence of the counter. But anyways, we get a flashback. There are more kids. She had friends, but she just don't remember. We'll later learn why. Anyways, a whole bunch of pumpkin fields are just basically getting rotten. The farmers are blaming each other because, like, why the hell could this happen? This is not natural at all. Hopper starts this investigation. He's like, oh, hell no, not like this thing again. He's seeing those sticky things, like really slimy. And it's basically the rot is spreading and spreading and spreading. At that point, they don't know why, but then turns out MF is making roots below Hawkins town. Turns out Hawkins Lab didn't really shut down the tier. The tier actually got even bigger, you guys. So like I said, every season they introduce new good guys and new bad guys. The first season we had only one Demogorgon to contend with. Season 2, not only Demogorgons but also Demodogs. Turns out, but that comes later. So a bunch of things gonna be introduced. So we have a whole new family, the crush of Lucas and Dustin at the same time, don't forget, because they had both had a crush. Cool kid from California on a skateboard, and she's cool, she's one of the boys. They don't really like her in the beginning, but then in the end, Lucas simping for her, so he told her everything without any agreement from the group. The brother, Billy, is basically a social psychopath, and every girl likes him, and he drives like crazy and just wanna GTA 6 everyone in the streets. The big bad this time is kind of MF, but I don't think he actually was there, so that's kind of my disagreement with the rest of the internet, I think. I think this is like kind of a test drive for Will, like see how he does as a pawn as well. So you're right, as he's trying to break through from wherever he is into the upside down, and then from upside down to the real world. But oh yeah, and then he's using the vines to create the tunnels they're gonna use later, which is thank you MF. Hopper goes on this ghost hunt to see what's happening. Get trapped, obviously, because why wouldn't you just go on your own to find this big bad where you already know thing is hella dangerous, but ewa, you know, the guy has to go, show his cojones, dives in this black tunnel. Well, he knows full well it's no good. You know, you already know as a viewer, but he should know this too. Jumping in because he sees the veins. At that point, we as viewers don't know the veins actually are also aligned of the hive mind. At that point, he was already spotted. They just have him go further in so they can trap him further in. Obviously, Hopper get trapped. So again, Will still having visions, seeing everything, because especially after he was possessed, right? He started to like the cold a lot, and that's kind of the initial sign that we see the weakness of MF, that it doesn't like heat or fire. It avoids water like the pest, because the tunnels are around the waters. This is how Bob, which is also someone that's kind of significance in the first Shadow, by the way. He also figured out, kind of, there was Henry Quill. So he was supposed to die the first few episodes, but then he made it through the end, and the Duffer brothers kept him along as well. So if you do well, you get to stay. He then find out these are just tunnels the MF is making, but they don't know still why. Did Hopper see the initial big tier? Yes, he confronted the new doctor at Hawkins Lab, and he saw the thing was even bigger, and they were kind of standing people in, right, to do more studies, and like doing the burnings. So somehow they are not done, they want more of this. Eventually, Hopper gets caught, because he wanna know where the tunnels lead. Before that, he gets in a fight with 11, because he just wants her to break things off. Obviously, they're teenagers, they don't want to. They get mad. He misses her deadline, by the way. She's like, at 5, we're gonna do this or something. So she get mad, like, no, why are you supposed to put rules on me while you don't stick to the rules yourself? Friends don't lie. This term comes up multiple times. Promise a promise. Then she gets mad and goes to search for her mother, because apparently she found this file, because she went snooping around the cottage, wherever they were. She found there was a mama for her, because he did some research on Hawkins before in season 1. She finds out she has a biological mom, proceeds to see her mom, but At the same time, Hopper and Joyce already went to see the mom, but they couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So she finds the mom, this kind of a side quest, a random side quest by the way. Hitchhiked, meet her sister, well, because of the mom. She meets her sister with telekinesis powers. That was also the beginning scene of season 2, by the way. We forgot about that. This sister apparently can make people see things that doesn't exist. And her number's 8. And she proceeds to find the sister. There are a whole bunch of misfits that came together, and the sister had this vendetta against the whole Hawkins Lab or whoever had anything to do with the lab, so she's going the whole killing spree. This reminds me of The Witcher season 3 of the Rat. They were introducing the whole bunch of misfits to see if it had some mojo, but people really didn't resonate with them because, I mean, come on, it was kind of random, the side quest. None of the people liked them, like the Rats in The Witcher. They were cast off. And the same in season 2, because after that, we didn't see any of them until season 5, episode 4. So, nice try, Duffer Brothers, but yeah. They did give 11 a nice training and made her a little bit tougher and gave her more character. Because I do like the outfit she was wearing and kind of the makeup, more a badass. Before she was kind of weak, and this arc she's becoming a badass. And I like how 11 is going through like this whole roller coaster because she's like not strong, not strong. Somehow she gets back at the right moment and right time before she gets back, because they eventually had to save Hopper. Will already saw Hopper where he was, so they went already to find Hopper with the kids, remember?
Yeah.
Kids come in the tunnel, goes there, finds him, all of them get in trouble also, but somehow get away, right? Turns out the little larvae we talked about in the end of season 1 becomes the new pet of Dustin. Dustin, however cute it is, tried to raise this thing, which ends up eating his cat. It is also where the new relationship of brothers are born. Dustin and Steve becomes best friends in this season. They like eventually try to find this Dark, the pet, because he got out. They tried to lure him with new fresh meat. That's when Steve told him about the hairspray. Will was in the lab. They were trying to treat him. MF get triggered and he knew every single little demo dog was coming for them, because apparently there was only one demo Gorgon, which 11 killed. There was not enough demo creatures yet in the Upside Down. They still had to grow. So eventually somehow there were more larvae. They all grew beside Dark, so Dark is not the only one. They all grew into like the demo dogs. They learned they are all of the same hive mind. So Will, demo dogs, well, Vecna, but we don't know, and MF, and they think that's why it's the Mind Flayer, that the Mind Flayer controls everything. And that's why when they heard Will, they heard the MF, so the MF is sending the whole demo dogs to them. And this is a scene that's actually really well written. I forgot which episode were, but basically this becomes Resident Evil. I don't know if you watched any of the episodes or movies or the game. They just have to escape this fucking hellhole of a lab, which was already scary, but then now they're just random monsters running around that can attack you every second. Somehow the power falls off and they had to get down, they have to spread up, right? So Bob has to go down to the computer to reset the power. He then eventually becomes a sacrifice by Bob. They already at this time found Hopper the first time. They all escape with Will, but then they knock first Will the fuck out, because Will was the spy. They discovered everything Will sees, MF sees, so the MF can target them, and then the demo dogs would know where they are. So they knocked Will the fuck out. Bye-bye, Will. Night-night. Then they try to escape to the storage room. Then all the dogs spread out, because they don't know now at this point where they are. And obviously started to massacre anything and everyone that comes in their way. Obviously, the soldiers use guns again. Like at season 1, we didn't learn. Let's use more guns. Use the guns, no use. The dogs live, kill everyone. So they eventually somehow managed to escape by sheer good luck and sheer nice camera work by the other doctor, the good doctor. I call him the good doctor because Dr. Brandon is kind of the evil doctor, like Papa. They call him Papa. We learned that he's kind of a cruel person, and he's really pushing 11 and, you know, the other kids. Well, not a lot, we just only see 11 flashbacks, not like the Henry flashback that comes later. So he's the good doctor. Somehow he goes in the camera room. He now knows where all the dogs are and basically directs them to the exit. Nancy and Steve and Jonathan, they proceed to go with the car, try to save them. Then they go back with Will, still knocked the fuck out, back to the Byers house. This is where he was all kind of in this setting with the lights and everything. And they think they can bring him back by giving him good memories from the past. They made the environment unknown to him. Somehow the phone call went off. He obviously recognized his own phone call, alerts the dogs, and the dogs are coming again. At this point, that was kind of their idea to, well, first go back to the lab again, because they successfully escaped, and then they want to go back to close the gates eventually with 11, because at that point when they get back to the Byers house, 11 walks in, right? Oh, badass, says bitchin'. That's actually the first time you see the logo of that door again, a parallel to season 1. So that's why the theory people think she actually opened the door. She comes in, they fill her in about every single thing. They make a plan that Hopper and 11 is gonna go back to the origin place, and then she's obviously needing to, because she opened it, in their logic, she will be able to close it. So they both go back, and then the kid, Lucas, Mike, Steve, Nancy, they all make a plan to draw all the demo dogs out so they have a clear space so they can close the gate. This idea they have is basically go back to the tunnels again, to the hub place, because there was this hub place where Hopper was caught, and just light the whole place on fire. And then try to successfully escape, but that's, yeah, you know, like, you already know it's like doomed to fail. But somehow, this Dark remembers them, because they lit this place on fire with gasoline and everything. They run for their lives. All the dogs come, right? Like, oh, we're hurting, MF's hurting. All the dogs come, and somehow they were stopped by one dog, demo dog, and it was Dark. And Dark let them go, which is kind of a loophole, because I don't believe that, because if he's of hive mind, how could he even remember? You know what I mean? Does he even have a choice? He doesn't, because if they all feel pain, he feels pain. If they all have to kill, he has to kill. If they all stop and go back, he also go back. So this doesn't make sense, but it's fine, you know, for sympathy votes or the good feelings that these creatures could be good. I don't know, you know, that Dustin did something well. Although it did end up eating his pet though, poor cat. So they successfully pulled this off, because eventually they were notified that Hopper and Elle is back in the lab, right? Because she's actively trying to close the gate. Hopper is armed up to the T with a lot of shotgun and a mag. And then one of the coolest scenes, because then the dogs come back and they try to attack them, and Hopper's like, you know, shooting them like a John Wick moment, shooting them off one by one. 11 tries her best to eventually finally close the gate totally. And this is kind of how everything ended. Jonathan and Nancy are closer than ever because of this adventure, you know, like the vines, and they kind of also went on a whole excursion. But at the end scene at the barn, because they all end up having to build it again, because Elle did destroy it kind of, because she was in a tantrum. Also, they did a kind of an exorcism, forgot to mention that, at the barn, remember? They were putting all the heaters around his wheel. Oh yeah, that was Joyce, Steve, and Nancy was doing that, while the kids were doing the burning. So they were doing 2 distractions actually. So they were doing this exorcism on Will, but at the same time burning the hub, so the dogs didn't know where the fuck they have to go. Also, Elle did end up saving the day, because they were also coming to them when the phone rang, and Will discovered where he was. But anyways, they tried to do the exorcism because they know the creature doesn't like heat or warmth. So they obviously end up trying to real life barbecue Will, fry him quite literally with high heat intensity, and we see the particles go out of him. But obviously we know, well, the naive people would say he was killed by then, but some of our skeptics don't really believe that, because I mean, it's not that easy, right? And this is how it kind of ends, right? Yeah. They close the gate, Will is free of the MF, exorcism was successful. Hopper and Joyce get a kind of a bonding moment, but also Joyce is traumatized because her lover is, you know, quite literally eating alive in front of her by the demo dog. And all the doggos died off because she closed the gate. Oh, so the theory is when they close the gate, so basically the connection, you know, when the messenger of the frequency, when the frequency connection is cut off, everything is without direction, so it just somehow dies, I guess. Because that doesn't make sense for me, but I mean, in season 2, that was kind of the working theory. When the connection is cut, there is no connection, so all those living beings have no directions, but then they just die. Because the logical thing for me would be they are just kind of lost, but still have some initial, primitive thinking. So they just want to kill, but without direction. That was more logical to me. But in season 2, they all died, right? They all wipe the fuck out. That's kind of, I think, how season 2 ends. Yeah, but also they walk out of the barn. Everyone reunites. Elle and Hopper come back to the barn and they see Will is okay. Will does this again. That's when the meme starts with this. And he still has the chills. So we fast forward to season 3. Thanks for watching. And if you have anything you wanna contribute or disagree, agree, comment down below. We are curious what you think of it. And I see you to the next episode.